You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.
Hello, all you weirdos. Jim here, and it's time to put away last week's comics, the good, the bad, the facts of life, and look forward to this coming week's comics that mostly come out on June 26th. I say mostly because DC's still releasing on Tuesday. That will change in the coming month, so that will be pretty cool. We can say all the comics coming out on that one day. I don't think it really matters, but in all of this, again, this is the show, if you haven't listened or watched before, this is the show that I look forward to some books that I'm looking forward to, but that doesn't mean they have to be the books that you're looking forward to. And what I'm going to do is beg, plead, and grovel for you to, in the comments, put the books you're looking forward to, the ones you're anticipating. And it doesn't have to mean the books, your favorite ever, or this is the greatest thing. Some of these obviously are going to be number ones that we won't know what's going on, but hopefully they're not number twos, if you know what I'm saying. And also there are some things that people aren't even aware that they're coming out. So when you put all of your picks, even if they're the same as mine, exact, like to the T, you could still end up putting that in the comments and let me know and letting everybody know why you're looking forward to those as well. And as I said, every time that I record this, there are a bunch of books now, and it really is a cool thing, even for me, that each week it's books that I'm adding because people say, oh, well, this is really good, or did you know about this? And I'll always check it out. So please give me your picks, and it ends up being maybe one of the slightly more positive shows here on the YouTube. I know that when you look up comics on YouTube, it's doom and gloom, but this is more, lollipops, rainbows, and RC Cola, I think. So it's one of those positive tip things. Now, if you are playing at home, you would know that I didn't have any picks from DC last week, which made the show, as my wife likes to call me, very short and sweet. But I do have some DC stuff on my list this week. I have a full gamut of books here ready to go. One last thing before I go, though, is if you haven't listened or watched before, I will give you the title, the creative team, the price, and I'll read the solicit for those issues and then maybe even discuss it / probably tell some really, really lame jokes.
How dare you?
But I hope that you can bear with me on that. The DC stuff is what I always start with. And as I said last week, I didn't have any DC things on the list, but I do this week. And this week we had the big announcement that Joshua Williamson was stepping back, it seems voluntarily, from Batman and Robin and the Green Arrow series because he said he was overworked. He said he was burned out. Now, I had some people kind of say, why are you so down on Joshua Williamson? Because when I did the video reporting on that, I said, I think he should step back from those two books. Those two books really aren't hitting. I thought that he's doing good character work, but the story itself are paper thin. But I never said that I didn't like his Superman stuff and his House of Brainiac stuff, because lo and behold, I do like that stuff and hope he stays on Superman. Now, people were talking Action Comics. He's only on that for this limited time for the House of Brainiac stuff. He will end up leaving the Action Comics that was already put in place, and Gail Simone's going to jump on for a couple issues, and then they'll announce the next creative. It's that kind of a musical chairs revolving door type of creative teams going on Action Comics, but we're going to start with Action Comics here. Action Comics number 1066, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Rafa Sandoval. It is $4.99. House of Brainiac Part 5, The Brainiac Queen is alive. Now that Brainiac has created his masterpiece, all bets are off. I don't know where the bets were on, but they're off. And Superman and his family are witness to a cosmic horror unlike anything they've ever seen. And when you say that, I kind of thought they meant Cy Spurrier's Flash book, but I don't think that's it. I think it has more to do with, Brainiac. As we learn the true history of Brainiac, the main man, Lobo, must choose what side he is on before all hell breaks loose. I'm hoping that Lobo, the main man, goes on the side of Superman. That'd be pretty cool, but we'll have to see. Maybe Lobo will choose his own side. He does that a lot. Next deal is Superman, number 15. Just telling you, these are my two books from DC, both Joshua Williamson, both Superman books, both House of Brainiac books. So that's written by Joshua Williamson, art by Rafa Sandoval. It says $4.99 as well. Everything is the same until we get to the solicit. House of Brainiac Part 6, Fall of the House of Brainiac. Superman and Lex have figured out how to stop Brainiac and his queen, but it will take a great sacrifice. Can they do the unthinkable to save their family and friends? This all leads directly into DC's summer event, Absolute Power. And I get it, Brainiac Queen, we already know, for the most part, most people should know, that she's going to end up with Amanda Waller during Absolute Power. I just hope that this whole House of Brainiac doesn't end with that feeling like, oh, that wasn't a complete story. It was. I have a fear from that solicit. Yeah, we're going to get that. Oh, this was just to set up the next thing and then the next thing. And I really get sick of that. One of the reasons why I am looking forward to Absolute Power is there has been actually kind of organic. People might say it wasn't. People say it might be forced, but I feel like it's more organic setup in the books leading up to it than anything we've had before. Like the idea when Night Terrors with a K, last Summerween, that just hit. All of a sudden, boom, Night Terrors. There was no real setup to it, but Amanda Waller gathering up her resources, having a bit of a rise in power, I think that is a good lead up to Absolute Power. So I'm looking forward to that as well. And there was a other tie-in to House of Brainiac. It was Power Girl. That's why it's not on the list. And also, and I'm saying that because of Leah Williams, not because of Power Girl. I do love Power Girl, though I hate to call her Paige. But there's also a Absolute Power, like kind of, starred up zero issue thing. I didn't put that because I'm not really sure exactly what it is yet, but I have said this on our regular DC Comics podcast. I've said it on a couple videos. I have read Absolute Power #1, and this coming up week, I'm going to have a spoiler-free review of that, and then a little later have a spoiler review as well. Some people said, oh my God, that means that DC actually likes you guys and gave you copies. That is not true. Somebody on the down low gave me a copy, so don't tell anybody. But I can, and in my mind, if I don't get the copies from there, there's no embargo. So, but I still will go spoiler free first because I know people want to wait and read it for themselves and then look for reviews. But we're going to move on now to Marvel. Marvel has some things going on, don't they? They have a Blood Hunt event. A Blood Hunt event that I do not hear anybody talking about. I've been reviewing, the main book. I have been reviewing each issue, and I've been reviewing some of the tie-ins. At this point, we're getting into like the second issues of some of these tie-ins, and I'm reviewing some that I like. That really is Avengers and the Wolverine, and then maybe giving you a little bit of the other things. But for the most part, I don't hate Blood Hunt, but I am not that excited about it either. But I'm looking forward to it because it is the big book. And I do trust Jed McKay might tie some things in, but he's got to get the pedal to the metal. Blood Hunt #4 is written by Jed McKay, pencils by Pepe Larraz. Here, I believe it's $4.99. Doctor Strange and Clea court a dread ally. Having problems with this solicitor, but at what cost? At what cost comes this aid? My favorite saying, but at what cost? But then the ad comes to say, just say, but at what cost? That is the best. That's the biggest exclamation point to any solicit ever. Hunter's Moon and Tigra do the same. But what can the shadowy figure be trusted? And meanwhile, the Avengers are given the battle they so sorely crave in order to avenge their fallen friends. But in the darkness, a light? All right. I saw the cover. It is the Blood Coven, the team that nobody likes, the team that nobody knows. And didn't they already have that battle? We'll have to see. We'll have to see. And again, I love, but at what cost? But what I do hate are the solicits that say kind of at the end, and things will never be the same. Gotham will never be the same. Oh my God, the Marvel Universe will never be the same. That's just a straight up lie. It's always a lie. That drives me nuts. But I do like, but at what cost? That is the best. Ultimate Black Panther #5 is next. It's written by Brian Edward Hill, pencils by Carlos Nieto, and it's $4.99. The Black Panther must take back Wakanda. I'd go with that. T'Challa, Killmonger, and Storm arrive in Wakanda so T'Challa can reclaim the throne. And what do the Voodoo Khan, not Shaka Khan, the Voodoo-Con, the mysterious mystical branch of the Dora Milaje have waiting for him. This seems like spoilers. Plagued by an ominous prophecy and possibly Shaka Khan, Black Panther must embark on a spiritual journey. I've been on a couple spiritual journeys myself. They never end up well for me. I'll just tell you that. I'm not even going to get into it. When I did it, it was like at what cost, and things were just never the same again. The next one is something new to the podcast here, the show. Everything's a podcast if you make it a podcast, I guess. But this is a facsimile edition, and I think that it's pretty cool. It's Godzilla #1, facsimile edition #1. Written by Doug Munch and pencils by Herb I think it's Trimpe, I believe is how you pronounce it. I looked these up because I'm always running scared that people are going to call me up on something, and then I forget. The King of Monsters goes on the rampage in the Marvel Universe in this facsimile representation of the first issue of the classic comic book. When Godzilla surfaces in Alaska and leaves a path of destruction, it naturally attracts the attention of Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. But what can they possibly do to stop a towering, fire-breathing force of nature like Godzilla? Find out in the bold adventure of the legendary kaiju by a pair of industry titans, Doug Munch and Herb Trimpe. It's one of the all-time great Marvel comic books, boldly represented in its original form, adds an all reprinting Godzilla 1977 #1. That's a cool one. I think that a bunch of people will probably tell me that they're picking that up. I just think it looks really cool. The cover is awesome. The cover looks great. And maybe if I can get my hands on it, I may even do like a weird review of it. I don't think anybody will really click on it. But hey, why worry about the clicks when you can get the clacks, is what I always tell people down at the rec center. We're going to move on to indie comic books. Grommets #2 is the first one. That was a pretty quick transition. Grommets is written by Rick Remender and Brian Posehn, and art by Marino Di Niccio. It's Image Comics. It is $3.99. The first issue I enjoyed. It doesn't really have like an ongoing, feeling. It just is kind of like, hey, these kids are hanging out. They're at the skate park. They're doing things. And then, oh my God, at one point, the one kid runs into this crazy meteorite that has been traveling through time, almost like, the golden turd in American Dad. It reminded me of that. The Grommets' big day out. After some fine dining at the Bell, Rick and Brian meet up with the Gens to skate a parking garage. They'll face security guards, jock thugs, and wipeouts in a classic day of unsupervised danger, fun, and adventure in the lives of 80s suburban latchkey kids. And that's really all it is. I mean, if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, it's kind of just like, hey, remember this, remember that. And even if it is a little bit, over the top deal, there are little things. Like, I used to skateboard as a kid. I was terrible and didn't really do it with anybody else, but I could even sit there and say, okay, that's kind of cool. Or, hey, I had those kind of stickers. Or, I saw those kind of kids. They beat me up back in the day. I remember those jerks. But it was really fun. I had more fun after reading that, thinking like, why did I have that much fun reading it? I thought it was really, really cool. The next one on the list, I am going pretty quick. I will tell you that I did take some medication before I did this. I have talked to people about my awful attention deficit disorder, and I did forget to take my Adderall today, and I took it late, which you shouldn't do that. If you forget to take it, you might want to call it quits for that day, but I didn't. I'm going to be up till 3 a.m. probably, so maybe I'll make some more videos. Void Rivals #10. I also did something that I shouldn't have today. I don't really agree with garlic. Actually, garlic doesn't agree with me. It's like my wife. Like always, had problems. I love it, but it doesn't love me. Again, just like my wife, I have a problem. I'm kind of like this weird sensitivity allergy to garlic. And me and my wife had these chicken skewers things that I rarely do even eat meat. I know people yell at me, but I try not to push it. But we ended up having these, and I'm like, oh my God, this had so much garlic, but it tasted so good. I'm not feeling so well right now. Void Rivals. Void Rivals number 10, written by Robert Kirkman, art by Patricio Del Pecci. It's $3.99. It is Energon stuff, which is released by Image Comics. Secrets of the Sacred Ring revealed. Void Rivals finally puts the Energon in their corner of the Energon universe. I thought that was going to be something like they're putting the Ener in the Energon. Doesn't really go well. That's not really a great catchphrase, right? Anyway, next one is something that, as a kid, I used to watch the cartoon U.S. version of this property. They called it Battle of the Planets at that point, and I believe, because I'm from the Philadelphia area, but I believe that the Battle of the Planets might have been on Channel 11 from New York. I used to watch the Yankees on that channel as well. And I think it was the New York channel. And I would come home from school and I would watch both Star Blazers and Battle of the Planets. But later on, I realized it was Gatchaman. And this is Gatchaman number 1. And I hate when you say stuff to people like, oh man, I used to watch Battle of the Planets. And they're like, that isn't what it's called. It's called this. I'm like, all right, snooty patootie. You shut your mouth. I watch whatever I watch. Gatchaman number 1, written by Cullen Bunn, art by Chris Batista. It is a Mad Cave Studios joint. It is $4.99. The triumphant return of Gatchaman, the iconic Japanese animated franchise of a 5-member bird-themed superhero team. A mechanical terror has descended upon numerous cities, and the world's greatest scientists are disappearing. Our only hope, Science Ninja Team Gatchaman, as they battle these machinations from the international terrorist organization known as Galactor. Their strength, willpower, and even vehicles are pushed to the absolute limit. If they fail, who's waiting in the wings to take their place? I don't know. The first exciting issue in an ongoing series that expands upon the original anime series. But at what cost is what it should say again. But it didn't. What cost? $4.99. I told you that already. I want to check that out. I'm going to try to check that one out. Seems pretty cool. I like Cullen Bunn. I like Cullen Bunn more for his horror stuff. But I will check out the Gatchaman. But next is, and my final book for the show, it is something that I think everybody should or will or would have on their list. It's Rook Exodus number 3, written by Jeff Johns, art by Jason Fallbuck. It's Image Comics / Ghost Machine, and it is $3.99, worth every damn penny. As Rook and Direwolf, and seriously, if you've been reading, and we're only 3 issues in, obviously, but if you are reading and don't love Direwolf, then you ain't no friend of mine. Because Direwolf was awesome, and I love seeing that Direwolf will continue and are hunted by the bear. I don't like that bear warden, Ursaw. Even the name, just, it feels dirty coming out of your mouth. Probably because my mouth tastes like garlic, and I gotta go brush my teeth. They need allies to fight back. Direwolf takes them to a secret sanctuary called the Oasis. Oh my God. I hope that Liam is there. Where we meet another enigmatic warden and his formidable crew. And that's good. Like, again, this is going at a good pace. I really like it. But can they be trusted? I will have to see. And whose side are they really on? I don't know. Why are you asking me? Also, if you think you know how sick and twisted Ursal is, you've seen nothing yet. Oh, God. I don't know how sick and twisted Ursal is, but I don't want to see anything yet. I'm done. I don't like him. And if he does anything to Direwolf, I'll strangle him. So he's a big dude. Like a big enhanced dude, too. Like a Jose Canseco kind of guy, right? Scares the crap out of me. But also, as I go out of this, the one book, I had it on my show last week, but the Redcoat, number 3, they had a mix-up, and some people got it, some people didn't. It was available digitally. It was supposed to come out last week, and what I was told then was that not every shop got their shipment, so you ended up having either Ghost Machine or Image Comics itself contact the shops and say, please just hold off and wait until next week when everybody gets it, which was, I guess, kind of cool. I had the review copy, so I had already done my review, didn't know that people hadn't gotten it, things like that. But in the meantime, I loved it. I loved it until I read Rook Exodus. Redcoat has leapfrogged that, and now Redcoat's my favorite book, but I'm sure Rook Exodus, even just reading the solicit and Direwolf saying that is all cool with me. So I'm sure that will get there as well. And I'm really loving the Energon Universe stuff. I'm really loving the Ghost Machine stuff. Again, as I'm pulling out of this, right now, in a non-sexy way, I hear. I have a video that I've already recorded. I just have to put together, talking about my 5 favorite comics in comic land right now and why are they all indie stuff and what has happened with the big 2, which was always my big thing. So we'll see if you want to watch out for that. That'll come out in the next couple of days. I have a couple other things. A bunch of people have jumped on the YouTube channel. I appreciate that. I thank all of you. And if you haven't been subscribing to the channel, that'd be cool as well. It gets me all fired up. I get a big smile on my face. I run to my wife, and this isn't even a joke. I run to her. Oh my God, this many people, they subscribed. Oh my goodness, they must like me. And then she says, no, they don't. And I'm like, why you always be a Debbie Downer? Always. But she's trying to keep me, level-headed, I think is what she's doing. That's what she would claim. But with that all, please subscribe, like the video, and really let me know what books you're looking forward to, especially if there's something I didn't mention and you want to kind of push that and get some more people reading it. So thanks, everybody, and I will talk to you all later.
You are all weirdos.
Weird science is the revolution. Weird science is the revolution.